Right, you've been waiting for it for a long time. We apologize, and as you can see, we're not on the beach, and it's not your birthday anymore.
No, it's a long gone.
So yes, so we're back in the workshop over here. On my way down to the workshop today, 48 degrees Celsius from my place.
Wow.
Down to 41 at your place, but the humidity's kicking here today properly. So first of all, before we kick this off, right, if you have not watched the first episodes on all the fridge tests we do, I suggest you go and do that now. We are going to be making reference in the show with regards to the findings, to all the spreadsheets that are here on the table right now, to the Patreon members. Check your email. I've already sent you all the results. To the rest of you, you need to go onto our website and you'll be able to download it over there so you can actually have a look at that. We're not going to go into detail with each of the tests because we've already done that, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, just a big thanks, Gareth. Opening up your doors to this and doing all these tests. It took us forever to get them done, and then special thanks to Batmobile for the batteries.
Yeah.
Having 3 batteries, charging them up and being able to run these tests and get some kind of a baseline or
keep it all the same.
Exactly the same, yeah. And then obviously to you guys, the Patreon guys. I mean, you guys fund these kind of shows, and if you want more of them, comment below, and I'm sure I can twist Gareth's arm over here. We can do some more tests on something else, come up with some ideas. Before we go though, we have received a couple of comments, and you know what, I read all the comments, and obviously you're going to get the negative and the positive and everything like that. I want to make it absolutely clear, I am not sponsored by any of these fridges. These were my own fridges. The only one that I did not own was the ARB fridge. And the guys at Honey Badger Diaries, James passed on his fridge to me to run this test. Now, I don't know whether it's the actual fridge manufacturers that are too scared to give influencers like myself these kind of tests, but we run it with things that we own or mates of mine that own them so that we can do proper tests. We're not biased to any of the tests. We're doing a air compressor test right now, so compressors that I own. Your brother passed on his ARB compressor to me. So we're doing that to try and not obscure any results, because there's no favoritism in these results, right? And what we're going to be discussing today is purely Gareth's opinion and my opinion, and it might vary. So what we're going to do first is we're going to kick into an overall findings of all the tests that we did. And then I've got a surprise for Gareth. So let's hang on to the end and watch out for that. So, right, Gareth, take us away. What do you looking at all these tests that we did a 2-hour test, we did the insulation test, we did a cycling test, we did a 12-hour test and a 24-hour test. And I think the overall objective was to see current draw.
Yes. I mean,
and obviously cooling.
We wanted to find out which fridge performed the best.
Yes.
We wanted to find out how did all the fridges work and what was it they were actually using and how were they cooling. I mean, that's what a fridge is all about at the end of the day.
Are they actually a fridge?
Yeah.
Or are they these silly cooler boxes that you buy that you plug into your 12 volt and it doesn't even get down to 8 degrees?
So they all definitely had compressors in them. Yeah. They were all there to work as a fridge or a freezer.
Yeah.
We didn't really go into test as much of the freezing style of it, but what we wanted to do is see it in as much of a real life application for what we've done traveling around. We use these fridges all the time. What do they draw? How much current are they using? And how well do they cool?
Yeah.
And going with that, what we found actually is the 24-hour test for me was the real positive one. It was the one that said, right, we're going to fill them with water. Let's turn them on. Let's see how much power they use in a 24-hour cycle. Because when you're trying to work out your solar installation or your battery management or whatever it is you're doing, someone asks you on that form that you fill out, how much power does these things use? And what we found is that the 24-hour test gave us a very broad-based result that they all are pretty similar.
Yeah.
They
did their job, right?
Yeah. Yeah, they all did their job. I mean, the 24-hour test that we did on the unit was very close in the ampere hours that they were consuming.
Yeah.
I mean, we had 0.9 of an ampere hour on average and 1.2 ampere hours on an average. On the highest, yes.
So 0.9 to 0.2, you got 0.3 difference between the whole range of fridges on a 24-hour basis, filled up with water. And so there's nothing in it, really.
No, there didn't seem to be. I mean, even the 12-hour showed a very similar test as well, where we just had them empty. Yes, we're not going in and out of them, but it was just to say, look, these fridges all use about a similar amount of power to ampere hours to actually run the fridge down to the temperature.
I think what's important here is okay. So if they're all running pretty much similar amount of current draw, and again, we're not going to go into depth on how cold the water got and all that. It's all available there. You can go and sift through all these pages yourself. I think what's important to note here is exactly what you said. I'm setting up a vehicle. I'm going to be putting in a fridge. Now, whether it be a 40 or a 60 or an 80, or whether you're going to be running 2 fridges. Now, most people would be purchasing a 40-liter fridge because they're going out on weekends. A lot of vehicles that are set up, unless you're going in a big caravan or something like that, doesn't really have the space for a bigger 80 or a 90-liter, so you could get away with 2 40s, making one a freezer and one a fridge. Now, we tested these at 0. So this is, as far as I'm concerned, is probably the most amount of power that you would be drawing from these, because we put in ambient temperature water and we ran it for 24 hours. Now, if you're going to be touring for a week and you're going to be taking cold water or cold beer or cold whatever and sticking it into your fridge, and you're touring for that week or staying stagnant for that week, the most power consumption that you're going to, or power draw you're going to get out of a fridge is what we've put down there. Now, well, hang on, caveat, because we don't open and close them for the 24 hours, and this is where the insulation test came in was quite surprising to me on which fridge is insulated better. But if you take the two of them together and you say, well, if I'm going to be using, let's call it an average of an amp hour, so 30 amps over, well, it's 1.2, so call it 30 amps or 29 amps over a 24-hour period, I need to have a battery that is going to be able to manage a 30 amp draw without it being replenished. So if I'm going to be stagnant for 3 days without any solar and not starting my car, and all I have is a fridge, I'm not charging my mobile phone, I would need 90 amp hour. Okay, if you don't open and close it. But you can all of a sudden now start ramping it up for yourself, right?
Yes, this is the point. You can. I'd put another factor into that. Like, there is going to be opening and closing. There is going to be warm things going in and out. But it's a very good starting place. When you look at, okay, how many ampere hours am I going to need on my battery? Your standard battery in a car is about 100 ampere hours. Most of the ones we see in the marketplace that fit into a car, 100 ampere hours seems to be there. So, 100 ampere hour, again, lead acid only gives you 50 ampere hours of usable power. So you've got a day with all your lights, your bits and pieces, before you've got to charge that thing.
So you're talking about just your cranking battery, basically, So that before you even go to an auxiliary battery, you obviously don't want to use your cranking battery, but if you were utilizing your cranking battery and you had 100 amp hour, which you're only getting 50 out of, and you left your fridge on overnight, chances of you starting your car in the morning is well, I mean, we're sitting around the campfire, we're opening the fridge every now and then, we're grabbing a cold one.
It's probably going to use a little bit more, but that's something to really think about when you're trying to do this. And this is what this test was all about for us. We were looking at, one, how do the fridges operate? I think we've proven within the test that they all operate on a pretty similar level. Yes, there's some slightly better than the others from what we've seen in the tests that we've done. But in real life situations, this is where this Engel and the other Weaco and Dometic, Snomaster, all of this thing comes up with. People like to see a much lower power draw because they don't have the power to be able to use it. And we've seen that with the Engel. It will just chug away all continuously whilst it's doing stuff, but it still draws about the same power as the Snomaster. At the end of the day, that will cool things quicker and do all of that. And I'm digressing a bit here. But the issue with battery management in a vehicle is, how do you actually pick what size power do you need? And one of the biggest consumers in any vehicle is your lights and your fridges. So we change all our lights to LEDs, and we're trying to get a fridge that's really efficient and will work on it. Then we come to the next question. okay, but I'm going just for the weekend, I'm out for the day, and I want to be in and out of my fridge all the time.
Am I staying still next to the beach, or I'm actually moving from camp spot to the next camp spot, and you factor all of that in. What dual battery management charger? Do I have a DC-DC charger or a DC-DC charger?
Yeah.
You bring that all together, and now this becomes
a much bigger picture.
Yeah.
And, you know, and again, we've digressed away from our tests here.
Yeah.
And the tests that we have actually done turn around and say, well, hold on a minute, here's a number that we have to pick. And that number seems to be about 30 ampere hours for a day's work.
Well, sorry to stop you there. I'm just thinking about this, right? So if you've set up a vehicle, right, or you're looking to set up a vehicle, why don't you put a comment below and say, I'm looking to put in a 40-litre fridge or a 60-litre fridge. I'm going to be traveling for X amount. Post those questions over here. I'll come grab Gareth out of his home, and we'll go through a couple of these. We'll choose like 5 of the top ones, some sophisticated ones and some not sophisticated ones, and let's see if we can come up with a plan for them before they build it up.
Okay.
Yeah. Because if you're gonna digress, so what we can do is let's take 5 of the top ones, or 5 very different ones, and put it together. And then if we answer those questions, people doing similar builds could utilize the information from there. What size solar power? You know, what kind of charging system do I need to place? Do I need to can I get away with just a normal auxiliary cranking battery, or do I need to spend all the money on a lithium-ion battery? Because when now you start that conversation, it now goes away from the fridges completely. And I'm saying, well, do I need 3 yellow tops instead of 1 lithium? And
I mean, look, again, it comes back to that pure question.
Yeah.
There's no point having the biggest power-consuming fridge in your car that will keep your drinks cold if you can't run it properly.
Yeah.
And you know, you don't want to sit when you're camping with your car running all the time trying to.
And how many times? I mean, I've been in that situation until you educated me on the change that I did now with the 2 lithium batteries that I put in there. I mean, even with the solar, with my yellow tops, after day 3 or so, I had to crank.
Yeah, I mean,
it just ran it dead.
You know, that's the other thing. Lithium's a whole nother story, but purely in the way that it accepts charge and how it works against the charging cycle of lead acid, the way lead acid operates is totally different to lithium, and the benefits of lithium are just you can't knock them down at all.
No, for sure.
Yeah, the right ones, as long as they're safe.
Yes. Now that's a whole different conversation altogether.
Yeah.
Right. So the results are there. I've got a couple of questions that are coming from you guys, and I've got a couple of questions myself, and I've got these key cards for you here where you can answer. And again, guys, this is our opinion. So Gareth and I are going to play a little game over here, and he hasn't seen the questions yet, so I think we need to soften up the throat. Right, grab a cold one over there, and I'll grab a cold one here. Since we're not on the beach, you know, we might as well pretend that we're on the beach in a nice comfy chair in the ocean going over there.
Well, it is the weekend. So
it is the weekend.
And it is after the midday thing, so
there we go.
The sun is well over the yard arm.
Yes. Now, right, no, where did I put it? Okay. Right, first things first. Okay, so I'm going to pose the question, your opinion, you can explain why, or you can just pick one up.
Okay.
Right, so like I said, some of the questions have come from you guys, and some of the questions I've thrown in here. In your opinion, what was the most surprising result out of all the tests that we did?
For me, it was the power the Snomaster uses in high, and how fast it can cool.
Yeah.
Compared to all the others, none of the others had any of that option to do it.
Didn't, yeah. You're absolutely right. And if I can remember correctly, it used 5.6 amp hour in the first hour.
658,
Yeah, 5.6, 5.8, but it brought the water down, way down compared to the rest.
Yeah.
And then it leveled out. So if you take it over 24 hours, like we've discussed. So most surprising for you, okay? Most surprising for me was the Weaco on the power consumption, because I've used that Weaco for a long time before I moved to Engel. It used to kill my battery, and when we physically did the tests, obviously I had a dud battery, or I must have had a dead short somewhere in the way. It might have been my wiring, but my Weaco killed my battery. And in this test, it proved that it shouldn't have. So for me, the Weaco, I mean, I walked into this test saying, well, by test number 2, we're just going to take the Weaco, chuck it out the door because it just doesn't perform. Yeah. And it performed surprisingly well compared to the rest of the fridges. Right, next question. Okay, so in your opinion, which is the best looking fridge?
It has to be the Snomaster, but
like
purely because I like the stainless steel effect.
Yeah.
You know, I like the way the latches are on the fridge and lock it all down. I think the display, the usability of it,
yeah.
it's the Snomaster for me.
I would agree with you. Snowmaster on this one.
It just, I'm very used to the National Luna, and I think that was very close as well. I've used the other fridges, and the Snowmaster
comes with a bottle opener.
And the bag. I think the bag is a nice touch that it comes with as well, especially out here. The insulation really. The
insulation does assist a lot. Yeah. Right. Okay, so in your opinion, which has the most space inside?
Well, I mean, it's usability space, is it, or
just as in space? Well, so when you open it up and you look at it,
they're both 40 litres. They're all 40 litres.
Well, the Snomaster's 42, so it actually has a slight disadvantage over here. But then the compressor size, it's so I suppose unfair questions. 42 versus the 40 litres.
So I mean, the Snomaster, for me, is a lot more usable space. Yeah. It's got the better basket layout. It's the for me, when I'm running my stuff the way I do it, the Snomaster seems to fit the bill better, especially the little basket on the side that stacks above the compressor. I mean, the Weaco has the same spacing like that.
Yes.
But, it doesn't come with the baskets and things. I'd like the Snomaster to have a split basket, so you've got one on the bottom and one on the top, and then I think it would just clean up.
Interesting. Yeah, okay. For me, I do like the Snomaster, but because I've been using Engel for such a long time, me from a look point of view, I just love it. I just love it. From a size point of view, I mean, they both fit into exactly the same drawer. It's nice and slim, they're nice and tall, which is great. I love them to bits. Right. Next question. Okay, so this was a question that we got online, was which is the quietest? So while we were running these tests, and I think I was spending more time running the tests because you've got your day job over here. So I'm gonna grab this question. So the quietest out of them all, the Weaco by far. So we didn't do any decibel readings. So again, this is my opinion. This was sitting in this environment. We were running each of the fridges and sometimes 2 fridges side by side. The Weaco by far was the quietest out of them all. However, I'm going to add to that if we put the cover on this that comes standard with the Snomaster, it's quieter. So if you have to then compare it like for like, what comes out of the box, the Snomaster is quieter because it does come with the insulation cover, where the rest of them you've got to spend a fair amount of money to get any of the insulation covers on them. So I've got 2 answers for that. The Weaco as it stands, but out of the box, the Snomaster has to win it. Right, so that's what I found during that, and it was a great question. I love that question. I had to go and have a good hard think about it and actually switch the fridges on in my house again. So I keep on losing this page. Right, off to the next question. Okay, so you kind of touched on this a little earlier. We spoke about most space inside, but the most functional space inside, because I find it very difficult when I'm looking at a fridge and I'm comparing the 66 litre Snomaster to the 60 litre Engel that I've got. And to me, the usable space in the Engel was far better than the usable space in the 66 Snomaster. So, usable space with the 4 that we tested over here.
Well, again,
what did you like?
Like you say, it's very interesting. The Engel, with the way the compressor is organised and stuff, it's just one big box that is the whole lot of 40 litres. Whereas the Snomaster has a few more compartments, but actually, it depends on what you're putting into it.
Yeah.
I mean, if you were trying to put big bottles into it all, then the Engel would win.
Yeah.
But actually, when you start to do it and say, I've got to section out all of my food in this area, this area, and this area, the Snomaster, the Weaco, and the ARB all have that little shelf to put your most usable stuff all the time, which then makes you go in and out the fridge a lot less, because you can just go in, grab your butter, go in, grab whatever it is that you use all the time. And just even your milk, small milk boxes.
Very true. So I found the same. So moving from the Weaco, first of all, I moved to the Engel, and the little shelf that was on the Weaco, I used to keep the salads, your tomatoes, and keep that there, and then I could keep the drinks nice and cold, but that little shelf over there didn't get as cold as the basket did. And moving to the Engel, I didn't have that, and my wife used to. Adronette gives me nonsense all the time, because then the lettuce is spoiled and this is spoiled. And then using the Snomaster on top of that, what I liked about the Snomaster, it physically has a small little basket there. So you can open it up, take the basket up. Now you have your fruits and veggies and butter and all of that. Close it up, do your preparation for dinner, and it goes back in. So you're not permanently opening and closing. So I think, definitely Snomaster on that one. I agree with you. Right. Okay. So, in your opinion, weekend away. So that's all you do. You don't travel long touring. You do weekends away. Fridge that you would choose.
I mean, again, part of that would be the looks as well. But I think the Snomaster, with the way that it has to cool your drinks much quicker, that wins. It's purely that function that seems to come back over and over again, that you can crank it. But that is assuming that you have the power. So if I was a week away without the power, I think the Engel would more float what I'm trying to do.
You'd have to plan on a Wednesday, switch it on, start cooling the stuff down.
I think I'm also, one of the things that's biased about this is that I actually like the metal cased fridges. The plastic for me, and I've
actually have a question over here. Right, plastic or metal? And there we go.
But the plastic, I do see, the Weaco's very well designed. It's been designed to be rugged. But if you're moving these around in and out of a car, if they're on a drop side, it makes a difference. But I think the metal cases for me I like. I think they're more robust.
We saw with the insulation test as well that they were far better than the two plastic ones. So the ARB and the Weaco on the insulation test just didn't perform. Weekend away, I must agree with you. That last minute, you get home on the weekend, tell the missus, pack the stuff, let's go, we're just going to spend the night up in the mountains, and you grab your stuff, stick it in the fridge, switch the fridge on, and you got an hour's drive to your destination. The Engel takes 4 hours to cool. I know that for a fact. I had to pre-plan a day or 2 days before, get the Engel on, cool it down, or take it out of the car, stick it on AC power, let it cool down, and then you can start utilizing. But if you're going to start your vehicle, switch the fridge on, chuck a whole bunch of stuff in there, it's not going to work. I mean, in my opinion. Because I know the Engel guys are going to give me nonsense for that, but it's a fact. Since I've used the Snomaster, you switch it on, and within an hour, within 40 minutes.
And that's part of it as well. It's how do you use these things? And, if you've got other things and you're full time on the road and stuff, or you're going.
Well, there's the next question. So, you're a full time tourer, or you're touring for a month at a time. So, a full time tourer or a month, moving around or staying stagnant or whatever your touring needs or necessities are. Fridge option then.
Well, again, unfortunately, it comes back to the Snomaster, because although the Engel on its own is very, very efficient, what I like about the Snomaster is you can switch it down to an auto or to a low setting, and it pretty much matches what the Engel does. Again, it's very small, but I like it's a bit more than just that. I like the way it's laid out inside. I like this. I like that. But for me, the Engel would be very close second. A very, very close second for that. We know that they're very efficient. We know that they run very reliably. The Snomaster, I don't know the reliability of them yet, but they all the results that we've seen so far on the rest of the world say that it's pretty good. So it's between the two.
But then tying into that question, so the next one was usability, right? and you kind of touched on that right now. So I'm gonna probably say you're gonna go with Snomaster once again. It's usability, and that was going to be my choice on the touring full time. That remote control that comes standard with this is an absolute must. Every single one of these fridges should be doing it, and not the stupid little Bluetooth app. Have a dedicated control to it, because we're using our phones for all various other things. That little control, I can switch the fridge off, I can set it, I can see what's happening all the time.
Yeah, but it does much more than that. And, you know, how many times have we been on a camp in the last year where my brother's fridge is going there, and all of a sudden all we hear is this bleeping because the remote control's telling us the batteries are too low.
Correct.
It's been invaluable, you know. You lose all your food because it's gone off overnight because your batteries are flat, and you've got no way to tell. Yes, okay, you should be in and out of it, checking it and stuff like that. But
sometimes you're not. If it's a freezer that you're opening up once a day, and you've got a fridge that you're doing something else with,
food, you're done. You know, that's the end of your trip. So I like the things. It's an all-round package. Yes, it might be a bit power hungry on certain parts, but those are benefits as well. But you know, I do like it. The Engel that we used was all analog. And, you know, trying to get the analog done, and I don't know how that would work on a rutted road, whether they move or not, and your fridge all of a sudden got warmer.
Yeah.
You know, we found it very difficult to get this thing down to the right temperature and actually hold it there.
If I hadn't been using it for such a long time, I think I would have chucked it out of this test, because I kind of, so with the Engel, the Engel external fridge monitors that we were using here to do the test to see the inside temperatures of the fridge, I kind of dialed it in. I know just past 2, like 1 or 2 millimeters past 2, that gives me -2, and that's been 3 or 4 years of using the fridge that has dialed it in. But if we had that fridge for the first time testing over here, I think we would have pulled our hair out.
Yeah,
trying to get to these temperatures, especially the insulation test, trying to get it to -10, so that we could switch them off, would have killed me. But yeah, from a usability point of view, I don't understand why Engel's gone analog. I suppose they're looking at the digital, less can go wrong, but the Weaco that I was using for such a long time, that digital display still works. It all goes.
One of the things the Weaco had was this switch on it, where if you had a problem, you could actually flip the switch,
override it, and
you can override all the electronics, and it will just run. And then it's an emergency thing. So, so the electronics aren't such an issue, but you know. There is a good thing about analog. It is, as you say, very solid. It doesn't break. It doesn't do anything else. So
I think the digital market has moved in leaps and bounds. That I think if we went back 10, 15 years ago and you saw something that was digital and you said, well, I'm going outdoors, rugged, and it's at the ocean, it's going to rust. I think things have really moved on a lot there.
No, I think the results speak for themselves. You know, at the end of the day, if you like, the point of this test for me was not to bash a fridge or say this is better, that's better.
Yeah.
One of the interesting points that we wanted to find out is people told us that the Engel was much more efficient.
Yeah.
We were told the Weaco wasn't as quiet or wasn't as efficient or it used too much power.
Yes.
You know, the tests have just shown what these fridges do.
Yeah.
Out of that, it really is a personal opinion. I think what this test proves,
I think so too,
is that they're all very similar. They all work very well as fridges. They all do their job. Some do them a bit better than others, but you know, there's always a compromise in everything that you go through. For me, the Snomaster comes out on top, purely because I like the way the handles work, I like the electronics, I like the displays, I like the way the baskets are laid out, I like the clips on the top. You know, the bottle opener is a nice touch as well.
Yeah.
Not that we actually carry bottles when we're camping, so it's a bit of mute for me, but the the Engel as well, I like the way that the compressor's set up. I like the style of their compressor. I think they just need to go a little bit further, and I think they'll have it is a fantastic fridge. I'm not trying to say it's not. I'm just saying it could make it slightly better. Yeah. You know, a double drawer system, a double rack system, so that you can, you know, you're not squashing all your stuff at the bottom. You know, the bottom part's the coldest, the top part's where you keep your veg. Yeah. Why do we have to mix it all together? You pull one out, get your drinks, put the thing back in, everything's good. I think that's a missing on all of these fridges.
I agree with you.
You know, and that's just usability. But, you know, the Snomaster wins, but that is with the assumption that I have the power in the truck to be able to run them and actually make it work properly, you know. And, you know, for me, when we're in our trailers and stuff, we have huge power banks now to be able to run 2 of these fridges, the big 90-litre fridges, and you know, we've worked very hard on keeping those running, and that's what it's all about.
Well, there's a question. Conqueror, you bought your Conqueror trailer
Yeah.
from standard with National Luna. You've been using National Luna. You've had your trailer for a better part of 6-7 years.
Yeah, 2013. Yeah.
2013. Now that you've been playing with the Snomaster over here, would you change?
Again, there's quite a few bits that come into that. I think Snomaster is now in Dubai.
Yeah.
There is a servicing here. So rather than National Luna, we have had a couple of small issues with National Lunas.
Yeah.
You know, we've had to send them back, get them fixed, bring them back here. So,
and that's at your cost?
Yes.
Wow. Okay.
They're out of warranty. Let's be fair, yeah. They're well out of their warranties.
But if they were in warranty, of course, there's nobody here for National Luna.
Nobody here to do it. So we got to go to South Africa and deal with it. Whereas Snomaster is now in Dubai.
Yeah.
I think in the States and everywhere else, everybody's there. You know, here in Dubai, there's a very good Dometic company to do the servicing. ARB, I know they're here. Yeah. So, you know, that's why National Luna is probably not in this test. You know, they're not available here for us to just go and pick up.
I wasn't going to go and buy one just for the test.
So they don't actually do a 40 litre, do they?
Well, apparently they have. I was under the impression that they didn't, and it seems to be something pretty new. It's a 40, it's a Traveller fridge.
Right.
So they do have a 40 litre. It looks very similar to the Snomaster. So it's the typical National Luna style. Yeah, it'd be great to get the hands on one, but
as brands go, Snomaster and Weaco, they have, I think, probably the largest range.
Yeah.
You know, the Snomaster, they do different types. They have different insulation thicknesses.
Yes.
They do different stuff depending on what it is.
Low profile, bigger profiles.
Yeah, double doors. Yes. You know, Dometic, very similar again. You know, they have a huge range of what it is that's going on, and they're very well represented here.
Yeah.
So, although the Snomaster will fit in the trailer, but still today I think the National Luna is the better fit with the 80 litre.
Yep.
Snowmaster does one. It'll be a tough choice, I'll be honest with you. If I could just pick one up here when it runs out, you know, they've run perfectly for 5 years, my two fridges. And I carried two and run two, a 90 litre and an 88. You know, my brother's using the 66 with the double door.
Yep.
Snowmaster, we've been incredibly impressed with that. You know, it's worked very well. We've realised it is a bit power hungry. We do use it as a drinks fridge. It has got a whole family of people going in and out of it all the time, and it does chew power. So, but it does its job, you know. And this is the point.
Exactly it. And since we filmed this, I've actually got rid of my 60 litre Engel, and I've replaced it with a 66 Snomaster, which is in the vehicle. And having a couple trips under the belt right now, I now understand if I put it on the high or the auto, it's going to chew more. But like you say, if you've got a whole bunch of people going in and out, there's nothing worse than all the beers or all the cool drinks disappearing, and then you end up with warm ones. So being able to pick up the top basket, well, fill up the bottom basket with warm beer, drink out of the top one. By the time you're replacing it, they're cold. And it never happened in my 60 litre. I had to take from, well, I used the 40 litre Engel as a freezer and the 60 litre as my fridge.
Mm-hmm.
I would then, as soon as I start having to replenish, it would go straight into the freezer to cool down, because the 60 litre wouldn't cool it down in time. It does cool, but it doesn't cool it within an hour.
Yeah, again, you know,
especially if you're a large bunch of folks and everybody's grabbing one drink at a time.
I mean,
in no time your fridge is empty.
One of the things I've heard about with Engels is that the temperature is, they try to keep the temperature quite normal over the whole thing. So for vegetables and stuff, I've heard they're extremely good. They don't, you know, wilt all the vegetables because they're pulling down really hard, and you know, get temperature fluctuation in the fridge. But if you're talking about a drinks fridge, they're very difficult to actually get them to work as fast as you want them to.
I suppose then you can set it all the way.
It's like a normal house fridge. You know, in a house fridge, you shut the door, it cools down, it gets to the temperature and everything else. Now they have house fridges with fans built into them to try and suck more of the air out, to get them to cool quicker, to rotate the air around. There's all sorts of different things going on in the domestic market.
Yeah.
But you know, we're stuck with basically the fridges that work.
Well, I think that's it. That's our opinion. But like I said, add your comments below. Give us some questions. Tell us what you want to build next. And I'll come grab some more of Gareth's time. And let's see if we can help you out on that. I think we do need to do a show about batteries. I think we do need to do a show about solar. But I don't think we're going to do it right now. Not at 48 degrees Celsius.
No.
I think we need to do it, get out there and actually physically show your setup, what you've done, how you've helped me out with my setup, and discuss those two, because those are two very different setups. Similar size batteries in there, but I'm doing a lot more touring where you're a lot stagnant. Well, you camped up for 7 days or 10 days at a time.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting to do that. But knock your questions below. Let's help you out with whichever fridge you're going to choose because of this long spreadsheet. But yeah, they're all there. All the information's there. Go and choose one. Let us know what you choose and let us know what you find or what your findings are. So once again, Gareth, always. Thanks, mate.
Appreciate it.
Catch you guys on the next show. Cheers.